Hi, I'm John, and this is Half Dozen Homestead. And we made a big purchase this week. My wife and I decided we were going to try to keep growing our egg and chick business, and we bought an incubator. Bought it off of Kijiji, which is similar to Craigslist. Picked it up from a guy about half an hour away from us. It's super dirty. It sort of works. He was able to plug it in, bring it up to temperature. But I think it's going to take a little TLC. We're going to clean it up to start with. We're going to make sure it's all nice and sparkly. And then after that, we'll get it plugged in and we'll start tweaking it. So to get started, I'm going to clean it. Soap and water just to get the first layer of dust off. After that, we'll work on CLR and a bunch of other stuff to get it cleaned. Person I bought it from had it for the last 3 years sitting in their barn. So it's accumulated 3 years worth of dust. It hasn't been used until he tested it for me. I bought it for $600. We negotiated back and forth. Originally he was looking for closer to $1,000. But with it having not run, and I think with me having to put some serious elbow grease into fixing it up, into cleaning it, to getting all the settings going, that sort of stuff, I wasn't willing to risk more than 600. Even at this point, I'm hopeful that it works, but I'm not super confident. Alternatively, we looked at other egg turners. We looked at some from a company called Hatching Time in the States, and they sell a 108 egg turner, which we were thinking about getting. And then, yeah, this one popped up on Kijiji. This has 6 trays in it, and the trays that it comes with hold 80 eggs each. So it can hold 480 eggs, chicken eggs. Alternatively, it has 2 goose egg trays. Goose are large duck eggs, so any sort of eggs that are a fair bit larger. I don't think it would take an emu or one of those, but at this point, that's not the goal of our farm. Really, right now, what we do is we raise chickens. We raise chickens for eggs and for meat. We do them so that we have cool colored eggs and funny looking birds and neat personalities within the birds.
So these are the trays that hold the water. I've taken them apart. I've taken the pieces of the float out. I've cleaned those. And then I've got these soaking with some CLR. Just moving the tray around, trying to let it soak. Got some soaking on the element here. Just trying to get the element cleaned off, get the last of the lime off of there. I had to cut the element, obviously, in order to take the trays out. So I will splice those back together when I'm done. But I'm just letting everything soak, really let that CLR work into that calcium. The previous owner had really hard water from a well, and he used that, so it's just left a ton of calcium, a lot of deposit, that sort of stuff. I'm going to use pond water, which is mostly rainwater, which fortunately isn't very hard. So I'm hoping not to have the same sort of problem. And if I do, hopefully I'll be able to notice it quicker, clean it up, and make it so it doesn't get so bad. Again, once I've painted it through, we'll sort of clean up some of the rust with sandpaper, that sort of stuff, clean up the last of the calcium, and paint these trays.
I got the incubator cleaned about a week ago. It's been sitting, I haven't finished it exactly. I gotta clean out the trays a little bit more for the water. My goal is to work on the power. This time of year, it's fairly warm. We're almost in April, and we wanna get this thing going so we can try to incubate more eggs. We've got 2 hovabators that we've been using to incubate that have been working well, but we wanna try to get this going so that we can get it tested. We don't really plan on putting this into full production until next year, but I want to get it dialed in, that sort of stuff. So this is a 220, 20 amp receptacle. Currently, I don't have any wired into my shop here. So my goal for today is to run a bit of conduit over and drop a 220 receptacle just in front of that hoop coop. And for now, we're going to get this going outside in the shop here. Eventually next winter, since we don't heat the shop, we'll probably put a receptacle and install this in our pump room. We keep our pump room nice and warm all winter, so that'll probably where we work on incubating all of our eggs and getting them going in there. Juliet is our model, Nathaniel is there checking our camera, and Simeon is comedic relief. Right, bud? Right. So I'm gonna try to do a little bit of electrical. Again, I'm just pulling some 1/2-inch conduit up, down, throwing a box, and getting a 220 20 amp receptacle so that we can get this thing started and see if it works. The guy showed it to me that it worked, but I haven't had it up and running myself. So I love running 1/2-inch conduit because it's really easy to manipulate. If you get used to running 3/4 or 1 inch, you can't really bend it by hand as easily. You got to put everything under the bender. But 1/2-inch, it's nice. You can bend it over, fix all your little changes and mistakes, that sort of stuff. You fell?
Nah.
Or do you need a kiss?
Nah. You need a kiss on the chin.
On your chin?
Yeah.
Are you better? Oh, that's a nice hug. Okay, you guys keep having fun. Thank you. Okay, be careful. Just be careful, okay? Okay. Conduit in, a couple boxes, do a regular 110 plug. Another plug up top for a cord reel in the future. Connected it in. I already pulled my wires in. It went pretty smoothly. I've got them sitting in the panel. I got to connect them there, and then I got to install devices. So install that 110 up top I can do right away. I can install a 110 over on the out wall there. I don't have a 220 outlet. I thought I had a used one in one of my bins where I've kept all my electrical stuff, which is all in dust. But like, yeah, I got a whole bunch of bins full of odds and end parts from when we did the renovation on my parents' house, things I've sort of like been able to save or scrounge from different job sites. So I need to pick up a 220 breaker and also a 220 receptacle before I can finish it. So using a residential grade switch as opposed to, or receptacle as opposed to a spec grade, there isn't a clamp to hold the wires in. So to stop the wires from totally untangling, what I do is I strip a little piece and I put it at the end, just sort of to hold the cable together so it doesn't totally come apart. It could fall off once I've got it under the set screw and I've got it nice and tight, but just to sort of get it started, I like to leave it on there. Make sure you wrap your connectors clockwise around your set screw, and then it'll pull it into it. It'll make it nice and tight. You want to make sure you don't have any insulation under the screw, otherwise it'll won't make good contact. Okay, so I officially got this thing plugged in. I got my two 220 receptacles over there, and we turn this thing on. It's just getting to temperature. We're at 19.8 degrees Celsius and going up. It's set at 37.5. Oh, we're at 20. So we're gonna see how it does. I don't have the top section on. I still need to put the water tray in here, connect it. I need to finish connecting the water line.
So this is a float that's already been set by the previous person. Essentially, water level goes down, water is able to pour through this little gasket here, water level goes up, pinches it off. Hopefully it works. Connect my water line. As long as it's filling, while this is down, it should fill. As soon as this raises up, it should turn off. It's not under a lot of pressure. So my existing poly pipe is pretty nasty stuff. It's got all calcium in it. It looked just like the trays did. I'm gonna steal the T out of here, clean it up, and then run my new line, have it come up, T into this one, and then hopefully still have enough hose to get up to the top. See what I got. Okay, so I'm gonna try to fill this, see what happens. So as the float goes up, turns off, float goes down, turns on. Cool. Okay, so something that's happening right now is this fan is kicking on and off. So that's circulating the fresh air from the barn into there. So that's neat. I did not know if that was working. It's working. I've got a fluke meter here, and that's got a temperature probe on it that's really accurate. So once this is at temperature, once it says I'm at 37.5 degrees, I'm gonna put my temperature probe in there, the thermocouple end, and we're gonna make sure that we're actually getting that temperature. If I've got to adjust it, we can do it all then. But that's one of the goals for today. So I fooled around with this a whole bunch. I've got both sections working. Haven't had any issues with the breakers tripping or anything. The temperature I've been able to fool around with. Here I'm reading 38.4, 38.1, 38.3. So I'm a lot closer than what I used to be. I think that's as good as I'm gonna get it. I've got to set it at 37. I've got to set it at 37.5. I'm reading pretty well exactly what they're at. They're both about the same now, and really happy with that. So the bottom's all calibrated, it's all set. I'm gonna get my first tray of eggs, I'm gonna put it in. We'll mark the calendar, and we'll get this first batch going. I'm excited to use the new incubator. How about you?
Yeah.
Yes, kids are excited too.
Can I go like check the eggs? No, I already did. I already did. There's no eggs. I already did.
Just putting a B on for buff. These three breeds are really easy to distinguish once they hatch. But what I like to do is mark them now so that when I candle them in 10 days, I can see the fertility. Because I sell these eggs as well, I want to make sure that I'm getting good fertility rates. If I see anything that's a problem, I can make the customers aware. I can reduce the sale price, or I can just wait and keep incubating them myself. So those are all my buffs. Now I've got the silvers. Can't wash the eggs because you got to leave the protective plume on them. But again, sometimes the really dirty ones, like I hesitate even putting this one in. It's so dirty. I'll put it in, and this will be one of the first ones I candle. Because if it's not fertile, I want to get it out of there. There's no point in harboring any extra bacteria. So since I started filling this the other day, I've actually sold a bunch of eggs, some lavender and a whole bunch of silver lace. So I've sold more again today. I'm going to transfer the ones I sold into some cartons for the person to pick up tomorrow. I load them this way, so when I sell, I try to always sell the freshest stuff. Some of these might be getting closer to 10 days old. So I don't mind hatching those out myself, but if I'm selling eggs, I want to make sure I'm giving them really fertile eggs, fresh ones, hopefully within the last like 5 days. So this is definitely within that time period. That is a full tray. So it's 80 eggs. I'm gonna pick this up and go put it in the incubator. Silence the alarm, just going off because I opened the door. Got cool. April 1st, we've got 80 eggs in the incubator. Probably by the 10th or so, we will candle them and see how many are fertile.